What if the person you loved most was the architect of your ruin? It's not a question most people ask themselves, especially not on the night they receive an award for saving lives. And certainly not when their spouse is standing in the audience, clapping with a camera in hand and a smile on his face. But for Susie Aomite Kim, the question arrived in silence, cold, uninvited, and dressed in pink. Earlier that evening, Susie stood beneath the glass chandeliers of GraceMed Hospital's Incheon Conference Hall, accepting the Physician of the Year award, her name echoing through the speakers like a hymn. The room stood for her. Colleagues cheered. Cameras flashed. She smiled, gracious and glowing, the very image of success. To the world, she was everything, a Nigerian-born doctor who had climbed every ladder and broken every ceiling, now the associate director of one of South Korea's most reputable hospitals. Her story was the kind they printed on the front page of medical journals: immigrant, genius, miracle worker. And by her side, always, her charming, supportive husband, Kim Young, and their bright-eyed son, Minit Jun. They were a picture-perfect family, the kind strangers admired in cafes and whispered about with envy. But pictures lie. That night, the celebration was muted. Susie didn't like loud crowds or unnecessary grandeur. So they had a quiet dinner instead: steak for Young, sea bass for Susie, pasta for Minit Jun, on the rooftop terrace of a fine restaurant overlooking Incheon's twinkling skyline. The wind was soft. The lights shimmered like stars. Minit Jun had made a card with glitter and his shaky handwriting. "Best doctor mum ever," it read. Susie kissed his forehead and held back the tears. Young raised a glass of wine. "To my brilliant wife," he said, "who heals the world and still makes it home in time to kiss her son goodnight." Susie smiled. She was good at smiling. But somewhere in the pit of her stomach, a knot had already begun to twist. By the time they got home, Minit Jun was fast asleep, his tiny hands clutching the edges of his school bag as though he were still in class. Susie tucked him in, brushed a curl from his temple, and stood in his doorway for a long moment. The house was quiet, elegant, suffused with warmth. A portrait of success. But in the silence, she heard it again, that unspoken question, curling like smoke in the corners of her mind. She turned to the bedroom. Young was in the bathroom, humming under his breath. The faint scent of his cologne lingered in the air, a citrus wood blend Susie had bought for him last Christmas. She walked to the wardrobe, reached for his coat to hang it properly, and there it was. The lipstick. Not red. Not burgundy. But a subtle, provocative rose pink, nestled deep in the pocket of his tailored coat. Susie's fingers paused. Her heart didn't race, she had trained it not to. But her eyes did narrow, ever so slightly. She didn't wear that shade. She didn't own it. She had never even touched something that shade. And Kim Young never wore lipstick. She turned the item over slowly in her palm. The cap was loose. The stick had been used, heavily. The brand was expensive, imported. Something worn by women who knew their power. 100 questions flew at her all at once. But none came out of her mouth. Instead, she returned the lipstick to the pocket, hung the coat like nothing had happened, and walked calmly to the vanity. She removed her earrings, undid her hair. The mirror caught her gaze, unflinching, unreadable. Did Minit Jun brush his teeth before bed? Young asked, stepping out of the bathroom, drying his hair. Yes, she replied, her voice smooth as silk. He kissed her cheek, lightly. You were incredible tonight. Really. I'm proud of you. Thank you, she said, smiling again. She got into bed beside him, pulled the covers up to her chest, and stared at the ceiling for a long time after he fell asleep. The lipstick burned in her memory, vivid as blood on white sheets. At 6:04 a.m., Susie rose without an alarm, as always. She made breakfast, scrambled eggs, toast, and strawberries for Minit Jun, a black Americano for herself. She kissed her son goodbye as he left for school, packed his bag, and waved as he disappeared down the elevator. Then she returned to the bedroom. Kim Young was still asleep, one arm slung carelessly over her side of the bed. She walked quietly to his coat, retrieved the lipstick, and this time, photographed it. Then she placed it inside her surgical kit drawer, under a sterile pack of gloves. There was a knock at the front door around 8:10 a.m., a courier. A small box, addressed to Kim Young. She signed for it, closed the door, and hesitated before placing it on the table. She checked the sender. No name. No return address. Something cold passed through her. She opened the parcel with a scalpel from the drawer. Inside was a pair of golden cufflinks engraved with a woman's initials, S.H. Sayo Hannah. Susie sat down. For the first time in years, her hands trembled. Truth rarely arrives whole. It comes in fragments, quiet, sharp, and often far too late. Susie sat at the edge of the dining table, the golden cufflinks gleaming like cursed coins between her fingers. Her breath was shallow. Her heartbeat remained steady, but her mind was sprinting, calculating, rewinding, replaying. S.H. She didn't know any Sayo Hannah. Not in Young's circle. Not at the hospital. Not at Minitjun's school. Yet the initials were etched in gold, delicate and deliberate, like a brand on cattle. And the box they arrived in, no message, no note. Just an insult wrapped in elegance. Was it carelessness or provocation? She placed the cufflinks back inside the parcel and folded the flaps closed. Neatly. Like a wound stitched tight. She wasn't ready to confront him, not yet. Not without understanding what she was about to destroy. At work that morning, the corridors of GraceMed Incheon buzzed with usual activity, nurses wheeling in charts, junior doctors sprinting between consults, and whispers of Susie's award still floating from office to office. But Susie wasn't listening. Every smile she returned, every hand she shook, every diagnosis she gave was automatic, mechanical. Her mind was replaying moments that once seemed innocent, the late meetings Young claimed to attend, the overseas film workshops, the sudden interest in luxury fashion. How had she missed it? Or perhaps she hadn't. Perhaps she'd simply refused to see. Dr. Kim, her assistant, hiree, said, peeking through the office door, "Your husband's on the line. Should I patch him through?" Susie hesitated. Her thumb brushed the photograph on her desk, her, Young, and Minitjun in Jeju Island last spring. 3 smiles. 2 truths. "No," she said. "Tell him I'm with a patient." That evening, Young was unusually attentive. He cooked dinner, steak, just the way she liked it. He poured her wine, rubbed her shoulders, talked about a new documentary project he was bidding for. She nodded, answered in soft tones, smiled in all the right places. But inside, she was somewhere else entirely. "Susie," he said at one point, "you've been quiet lately. Everything all right?" She looked up from her glass. Her voice was even, eyes unreadable. "I'm just tired. Big week." He reached for her hand across the table. "You know I'm here, right?" A pause. A beat. "Are you?" she asked, gently. Young laughed nervously. "Of course. Where else would I be?" That night, after he fell asleep, Susie unlocked his phone. She had never done it before. She never needed to. But trust, once cracked, doesn't seal back cleanly. She knew the password, his mother's birthday. She scrolled quickly, efficiently. She wasn't searching for doubt. She was searching for proof. It didn't take long. Under a contact named SJ Electrician, she found a string of messages. "Miss you already. Still smell like your perfume. Can't stop thinking about last night. I keep dreaming of your hair on my chest." No photos. No name. Just words. But they were enough to sharpen her instincts into blades. She copied the number. Sent it to her own phone. Deleted the message trail. Then quietly placed the phone back beside him. Kim Young never stirred. The next morning, Susie sat in the hospital parking lot, staring at the number on her screen. She could dial it. She could confront the woman. Scream. Beg. Threaten. Instead, she copied it into a contact file under a single name, Ghost. She wasn't going to chase her. She was going to follow him. Later that week, Young told her he had a meeting in Seoul's Gangnam district. A filmmakers' roundtable. Late finish. Might stay over. "Take the car," Susie said sweetly. "I'll use the driver tomorrow." He hesitated. Then nodded. That night, Susie sat across the street from the hotel Young checked into. She watched from the tinted windows of her own vehicle, a hooded coat pulled over her head. At 9:46 p.m., she saw him. And her. Long legs. Pale skin. Hair the color of firelight. She touched his arm like she had known it for years. They laughed. He leaned in. Kissed her. Not like a mistake. Not like a fling. Like a man who belonged to someone else. Susie didn't cry. She didn't rage. She took photos. Videos. She time-stamped everything. She collected truth like evidence, methodical and ruthless. Later that night, she sat alone in their apartment, flipping through old birthday cards and family albums. One picture caught her eye, Minute Jun as a toddler, seated on Young's shoulders, both of them beaming at her behind the camera. She tore it in half. Then again. And again. Until it was confetti. The next morning, over coffee, she said, "You lied to me." Young froze. "What? You said you'd be in Gangnam for a meeting. Instead, you were in a hotel suite. With her." His jaw clenched. "Susie, listen. I'm not asking," she said. "I'm telling you what I know." A long silence. Then, finally, he said it. "I didn't mean for it to happen." Her smile was cold. No one ever does. Every betrayal begins with a lie too small to notice, until it devours everything. Susie didn't shout. She didn't break plates, slam doors, or curse the day she married him. She simply watched Kim Young across the dining table as if seeing him for the first time, a man with familiar eyes but a stranger's soul. "How long?" she asked. His eyes dropped. "It's not what you think, Kim Young," she repeated, this time slower, quieter, dangerously calm. He exhaled like a balloon deflating. 8 months. The words hit like frost against bone. 8 months. 244 days. She blinked once. So all those late-night shoots. The sudden projects. The silence in bed. "Yes," he said, ashamed. "But it wasn't planned." She what?" Susie cut in. "Tripped and fell onto your lips." He looked up, guilt written across his features like ink on wet paper. "She listened," he said, voice trembling. "She didn't judge. She made me feel seen." Susie scoffed. A sound like a bitter laugh that never made it out properly. "I see. And the woman who sacrificed her career progression to raise your child and build your home? Who covered your debts? Who stood by you when your first 2 films failed?" Young looked away. Was she invisible, then? Susie pressed. Or just inconvenient? Later that evening, he tried to explain. Tried to say it was loneliness. Neglect. That Susie had changed. She didn't argue. She didn't defend herself. Instead, she walked to their bedroom, opened a drawer, and handed him a red file. Inside was a draft divorce petition, already dated. "I started preparing it last month," she said. "Before I had proof. I had a feeling. But I needed the truth." His face paled. "Susie, don't do this. We have a son." Her gaze was steel. "Yes. And he deserves to grow up in a house without lies. But betrayal isn't clean. And neither is separation." When Susie served him the official divorce notice 2 weeks later, Kim Young retaliated. He begged first. Then blamed her. Then tried to turn Minute Jun against her. "You know your mum doesn't want our family anymore," he told the boy. Minute Jun cried for days, confused, heartbroken, caught in a war he didn't start. Susie tried to explain gently. "Your dad made a mistake. A big one. But we both love you." He didn't answer. He only stared at her with eyes too old for a 10-year-old boy. That night, she cried silently in the bathroom, head pressed to cold tile, tasting the bitterness of a life unraveled. Days turned into weeks. The media caught scent of the scandal, whispers in the hospital, questions at school. A director's infidelity was gossip. But a renowned doctor divorcing her husband? That was scandal. "Do you think you're setting a good example for your son?" one relative asked. Susie smiled, lips tight. "Yes. I'm teaching him not to tolerate deceit." Meanwhile, Young clung to Seo Hannah like a man drowning. She was young, bold, rich, the daughter of a business magnate. Her family funded Young's next film, gave him a penthouse in Gangnam, sponsored interviews painting him as a man falsely vilified by personal misfortune. It was a performance. And Kim Young had always been an excellent actor. But not all audiences are forgiving. Susie didn't retaliate publicly. Not yet. She was meticulous. She hired a forensic accountant. Traced every joint account. Every hidden card. Every secret transaction. She discovered Young had been funneling her hospital bonus into his own side projects for months. She froze every account. She revoked his access to the family car. She withdrew from his co-signed film loans, collapsing his finances overnight. By the time Young realized what she'd done, it was too late. "Susie, please," he begged over the phone. "You're ruining my life." "No," she replied calmly. "You did that yourself. I'm just removing the safety net." When Hannah's father found out Young was broke, he pulled the funding, cancelled the wedding plans, cut him off. "You're a stain," the tycoon spat. "Not a son-in-law." Hannah didn't even defend him. Young came back to Susie's flat a week later, drunk, bruised, and humiliated. He banged on the door at 2 a.m., screaming her name. "Please. Just let me see Minute Jun. He's all I've got." Susie stood behind the locked door, listening. She didn't move. She wouldn't let Minute Jun see his father like this. And she wouldn't let herself fall for another one of Kim Young's performances. Not again. Some ghosts do not float through walls. They walk, they talk, and they smile in photographs. The city of Incheon was awake far too early, rain slapping rooftops, tires hissing through puddles, neon lights blinking against grey skies. Susie sat at her dressing table, staring into her reflection with stillness. The woman staring back wasn't broken. But she wasn't whole either. She applied her lipstick in silence, crimson, deliberate. There was a difference between war paint and a mask. Today, it was both. At GraceMed Hospital, Susie moved through the wards like clockwork, every patient seen, every file signed, every smile present but reserved. Yet behind that efficiency was a roiling storm. A nurse whispered, "That's Dr. Kim. Her husband left her, right? But she still looks like a queen." Another added, "Left her? Please." He ran off with a child. They didn't know she could hear them. She didn't flinch. Let them talk. Let them watch. Let them learn. That afternoon, Susie received a message on her hospital intranet from a name she hadn't seen in 10 years. Dr. Sang-Hyun Kim. An old university colleague. A cardiologist. Brilliant, precise, once in love with her before she chose Young. "I'm returning to Incheon, Grace. Let's meet. No politics. Just coffee. S." Susie blinked at the message, heart tapping once, sharply. Sang-Hyun, the one who had called her too logical for a romantic, who once kissed her under monsoon rain in Daegu and then disappeared for a fellowship abroad. And now, he was back. That evening, Susie arrived at the rooftop cafe of the hospital just as the rain lifted. She spotted him instantly, taller than before, sharper jawline, same soft eyes. "Sang-Hyun," she said with a quiet smile. "Susie Kim," he replied, standing. "The woman who made me believe heartbreak was a diagnosis." She laughed. Just once. But it was real. They spoke for hours. Of work, of family, of everything and nothing. And when she finally admitted the truth about Young's betrayal, Sang-Hyun listened without interruption. "No one deserves that," he said simply. "I'm not angry anymore," she replied. "Just tired of being careful." He placed his hand gently on hers. "You were never meant to live in pieces, Susie. Let him carry his own wreckage." For the first time in months, she felt seen again, not as a victim, or a doctor, or a mother. Just Susie. But shadows linger long after the storm ends. The next day, Minute Jun came home from school with tear-streaked cheeks. "Mum," he said, eyes wide, "a lady came to my school. She said she knows Daddy." Susie's breath halted. "What did she say?" "She asked if you were keeping me away from him. She gave me a note. I didn't read it. I was scared." He handed her a crumpled slip of paper from his backpack. The handwriting was elegant, expensive. "You may have destroyed his career, but you cannot erase his son. I am not going anywhere. Hannah." Susie's fingers curled into the paper. So Seo Hannah had returned. And she wasn't content staying in the background anymore. That night, Susie drove to Hannah's upscale studio apartment in Seoul's Hanam-dong, a building with concierge service and tinted glass lifts. She didn't knock. She didn't wait. She called Hannah from the lobby. "It ends now," Susie said, voice ice cold. Hannah sighed. "You've always been dramatic, Dr. Kim. You come near my son again," Susie continued, "and I will go public. I have photographs. Videos. Your father's private donations to Young's production company. The hidden accounts. You think this is over? I haven't even started. There was a pause. Then Hannah's voice changed. Slower. More deliberate. You think this was just about lust, she whispered. Young came to me, Susie. He chose me. And trust me, when your son turns 16, he'll ask questions. I'll be the one who tells him who you really are. Susie ended the call. Not because she was afraid, but because the war had officially begun. The next day, Susie sent an envelope to 2 major newspapers and a media outlet in Gangnam. Inside were details of the illegal fund transfers tied to Young's film. Enough to kill a career. Then, she did the unexpected. She took a week off work. She and Minute Jun flew to Jeju Island, away from the flashing lights, the tension, the war drums. On the black sand beach, Susie held her son's hand as the wind tangled in their coats. Mum, Minute Jun said, looking up at her, do you think Daddy misses us? She hesitated. Then said the truest thing she could. I think Daddy misses the version of us he didn't value. Meanwhile, back in Seoul, Kim Young's world began to collapse. The tabloids had his name. Hannah's father found the leak and cut all business ties. Directors who once admired him now avoided him. One called him a moral hazard. And for the first time since he walked away from Susie, Young stood alone. No wife. No mistress. No career. Just the echo of everything he destroyed. But the worst was yet to come. Because ghosts don't just return. They haunt.